happens when you go first with Dailiner. So for the aiding grade 3s, now Dimension Police is known for playing a variety of grade 3s based on what you feel like the deck wants to do or the tools that you need. So I'll basically walk you over my lineup. So obviously we have to play 2 Taser Ledge. When I say you have to, I think she's just one of the better like passive cards to have on the field. Very good against decks that Superior Call, like in the battle phase, you can basically shut off an attack, and it forces people to get rid of her, so she's pretty good. And then I think the only other like true staple is Dizoris. He's very great with your Gallop turns, where you could give him the extra drive in the 10k, so then that way like you can go like 4 drives, 1 drive, which is very, very, very good. Or is it 5 drives, 1 drive? We'll go over it in a second. So these are like the core of Dimension Police when it comes to premium. Now for additional grade 3s, I chose to run 1 Diarm because sometimes people will unintentionally like build up a big hand and then this guy comes in clutch. 30k power to your front row is very, very good. If you have Laurel, you double it, that's 60k power to your Vanguard. That, you know, gives you a ton of thresholds that you need. And then of course we had to play the 1 Daikaiser. Come on guys, we don't mess around. 1 Daikaiser, was he useful? Not really. In fact, against against Genesis, I side graded into Daikaiser because I didn't have Dailiner, and I won because my opponent decked out. And I was on Daikaiser, I didn't even have to resolve the effect, it was just a stepping stone, and yeah. That Daikaiser, guys. One card that I really, really like is Ray Virus. So this guy, for all intents and purposes, is a grade 3 with resist. The first effect doesn't matter, he just has resist. So he's like a thing that you can attack with and then intercept with, and then you can kind of loop him with your G-Guard to get back your grade 3s. And then finally we went 1 Marstoge. I kind of wanted like a grade 3 that I could search, that I could discard, which sounds kind of weird, but especially for like striding. A card that like draws you a card is really good, and then it's a grade 3 that's now in the drop to make your G-Guard to add him back, so you always have like a target, and realistically you can never really calling this out, you're usually guarding with it or pitching it for stride, so that's pretty good. I quite enjoyed my lineup. I think there's like a ton of other things that you could go for, but I like these guys a lot. They were all very helpful in one way or another, but primarily Dizoris is my favorite. I think my camera is freaking out a little bit. Hopefully it's not too bad. So for just quickly, where did my mouse go? Move that out. For grade 2s, there's a lot of people that don't play Die Dumper anymore, but I quite like Die Dumper. So sometimes when you want to go second and the opponent has like a good grade 3 game plan or like a history collection stride, I quite like Die Dumper because he lets me capitalize on my grade 3s early on if I have to like defend myself, because sometimes your hand is just grade 3s, as it should be. But I don't want to feel like I can't guard, and sometimes there are pokes that like I'd rather just avoid so I can tank like a bigger attack with crit. So Die Dumper basically is there for that role. After that, he's kind of like a nice little like guy to call because he gains 10k on his own. Obviously doesn't gain the scaling from Geomaglas, but like on your first strike turn, he's like okay to call as a beater because you can swing with him, he retires himself, and then Geomaglas will then replace his field presence, which is good, it's fine. But I just enjoyed having the 10k shield to protect myself. Then we have 3 copies of this rat, Volkuri. The rat is really weird. I have a weird relationship with the rat. Typically, the issue with Dimension Police is that because you play so many grade 3s, your write-ups leading up to grade 3s can be a little bit iffy, and sometimes you don't have a grade 1, so this is where Volkuri would come in clutch to get you a grade 1. The issue is that I always had Die Dumper, and Volkuri is just kind of like a worse Gale Sludge because he's 10k base, so that means I don't even get like Soul Blast 1 to draw a card, which was like the really nice thing about Gale Sludge, but the effect that like you get right stuck a bit less. But if you go second, it doesn't really matter because you can G-assist and you have plenty of cards that you could like discard, so it doesn't super matter. But Volkuri was okay. And then I took this event to try out a single copy of Gengar. Let me move the guy over here. So Mr. Ultraman himself. So he's basically like a slightly better version of Miracle Dandy, or the Dandy guy from back then. But because the opponent will always be a higher grade than you, because from striding, you get his 15k. So he's effectively a grade 2 that's a 20k shield. Now, that is really, really good because it's like really quick, immediate scaling on your shields. And against like things that would normally be like a 2-card guard, you basically just get to 1-card guard. And with the Gengar, he's also like fine to ride up because like it doesn't matter what you ride into grade 2 beyond Eye Dumper. If you're not on Gale Sludge, like most of your Vanguard skills are irrelevant. And the added 20k shields to your deck makes you like a little bit extra tanky. So I quite enjoyed having Gengar. There's a chance that I might bump something down and add a second copy of him. He was actually quite useful. And I see the vision. I understand why people play this. Now, do remember that while I do attend events, I'm what you would call casually competitive. I can definitely get wins, like I won at the BCF, like I was X2, but I'm not by no means like an amazing player. I'm just sharing the things that kind of work for me to inspire people to play the clan, because Dimension Police is really, really cool. Now, for the grade 1s, the best grade 1 by far, the GO, the bike, the Bat Bike, the Batmobile, I suppose. So Eternity Chaser lets you basically fix whatever you're missing. If you don't have a ride-up, you can get ride-up. If you need Stride Fodder, you can get the Marstoge. If you want early control, you can get Taser Ledge. And also, he can stop those little pokes to stop you from wasting your shield. Overall, this is like by far the best grade 1 in the deck. And it's definitely a little bit harder to find these days. But the card is phenomenal, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The next best thing is probably Die Drop. I believe that's his name, the one that you reveal and put back a grade 3 to draw 2. That card is pretty good, but like draws are random. Sometimes I just want to pick up like a specific thing, sometimes even heal guards, because it searches for one grade 3 card with a different name from the thing that you revealed. It doesn't say normal unit, so you can pick up the heal guards, which is very useful. Moving on, we have the GO. Obviously, Laurel. Laurel is really, really cool because he gives your Vanguard crit +1 as opposed to making your original crit 2, so it stacks with a force marker. So immediately, Laurel plus marker, your Vanguard has 3 crit. That's like game in so many different ways. Like Gallop immediately becomes game. Unibird threatens game. So I wish I saw Laurel a little bit more. There's a chance that I bump Laurel up to 3. Like I really missed Laurel at the event. I think like especially against like GB8, if you can survive the first like turn, you have a somewhat decent shot at getting back into the game by just like Laurel and abusing the crit that you get, especially on something like Gallop, because you can kind of like do the same game plan as them, where you can try farm heals to G guard and then use like your G flipper to accelerate your G zone, so then that way your Gallop becomes like a lot bigger. Although it's still GB3 for the power, so you kind of have to survive one onslaught of the GB8. So you kind of just have to like be careful with that matchup. But besides that, Laurel is really amazing, and I definitely should play a third one, just for flavor's sake. Now let's talk about Honolly. I never really played Honolly in Dimension Police because I tend to play more casually, so I don't really want to sort of like apply a floodgate, not from like a morality standpoint. What I'm trying to convey is that like at an event in Dimension Police, 100% you should play Honolly. Honolly is very, very good. It gives you a ton of survivability, especially with the errata, where you can just get rid of the Honolly and apply the lingering effect. Very good against decks that have like easy removal against it. And this card is like a staple in Dimension Police. But when I'm trying to stick more with like in theme and I want to have like a little bit more engine, then I would probably cut down the Honollies, and you could play like grade 3 Searchers, or you could play another copy of Laurel, you could play like a Glory Maker. There's like a ton of things that could go in this slot, but at an event you have to play Honolly because it's like what makes the deck very competitive. So that's that for Honolly. It just helps you against like a lot of the multi-attack hitting decks. Then finally we have one Acid Gush. Can we talk about how like they keep giving Dimension Police promo cards that are the monsters and not the actual robots? I play the clan for the robots, Bushiroad. Give me the monsters. This is just heal fodder. Like this acts as a heal, so you can pitch it in heal guard. Pretty good. That's the function of the card. For my PGs, this is a little bit scuffed, so I couldn't find something that was like, I've never owned grade 1 Dimension Police like V-Series PGs, so that could be that, or I didn't have another Enigma com, so I just went with a D-Series PG. Basically, all you need this card to do is to be a perfect card that is a grade 1 slot. The ideal slot is Grand Monk, but Grand Monks are very difficult to find for me, and I decided that I didn't have enough time to get them, and I just went with a random grade 1 PG. Enigma com is fine. Again, like these could just be 2 Grand Monks. against decks that have like battle tricks to stop you from triggering Dizaurus. That happened to me against Coral, where they have like basically things that call things in the battle phase to act as removal, stop your Dizaurus from giving you that extra drive, so you have to be a little bit careful. And you'd want Grand Monk for exactly that, or Ladder, but I didn't have those cards, so I made do with what I had, and I went with this guy, Strong Arm Conversion, Stolmarge, PG. And then obviously like the best PG in the game, like the reason why Dimension Police is sometimes fair, the card that you can't really beat Elementary Sanctitude, you need this for any kind of like funky guard restrict. It's good for both players, but you know, sometimes it's great because you can't guard break it with Linka. Speaking of Linka, this is the reason why, well, the second reason I would suppose, or maybe the third. There's a lot of reasons why Dimension Police is good. Linka is one of them. This is your win con. It basically forces people to sometimes double, triple, quadruple PG, because this card puts the fear of God in people when you check those grade 3s. It's just guard break. You draw a card, GB2, and then it gives you guard break for a Soul Blast 1. The card is just really good. The 5k triggers doesn't really matter because you're really tanky and you don't really care. Sometimes it helps with guarding, and the stand is like not irrelevant, but then for some more triggers, we have the errated / upgraded Grand Beats, because these are now 10k power, 15k shield, and they act as draws as defensives, which means that like you don't really have to you don't have to play draw PGs in the main deck for draw triggers. You just have these guys as defensive draw triggers and offensive crits, which is like perfect. You don't get to use the second effect because you're not a Gallop, but like that doesn't matter because Dailiner is better. Maybe I'll cook up Gallop. If you guys want to see a Gallop deck profile, let me know. I have some ideas. And then for some more triggers, we have two of the Dobruber, or whatever his name is. The Impurity Monster. This is your Stride fodder crate. It's like the next best thing that you can play. You don't really want the GB1 going to Soul because this deck doesn't really need that much Soul. You just have to be like kind of aware of your Soul mapping, of your Soul resource usage. And then one Diamond Ace, because sometimes people do play things that like, oh, you can't guard with like grade 1s or higher. So sometimes having a grade 0 PG is not the worst, but you could realistically just play like a crit or a crit Sentinel. That could also be pretty good, so you have a bit more crit pressure. And then funny card. I don't know, man. Like, there's nothing that I can say that has not been said about this card. Very funny when you check it though. People are like ultra dead. And then finally, the heal guards. The fact that they're grade 3s is really, really helpful for multiple reasons, because sometimes you don't need to G-guard, but because they're 15k base, it means that like you can, like with Dailiner, that makes it 25, and then double Geomaglass, that makes it to 35, so that's a big guy, big shield. So that's pretty much it for the main deck. Like I said, nothing too special. There's definitely cards that could be added, like Valtrosa. I've seen some people play that. Dijet, I've seen people play that as ways to put back grade 3s into the deck so you can check them. But I think those cards are not needed for you to get like the most out of the cloud. I think they're very neat optimizations if you're like very competitive, but if you just want like a solid starting point, then this version deck works just fine. So I'm going to try and wrap things up a little bit soon here because we've been going for quite a bit. Some shields, you've seen the markers, Messiah because you need it for the Guardian ticket, and then for the good stuff, for Geomaglass, the other most important card in your G-Zone, giving your shields plus 5k. Your grade 3s gain an extra 5k shield per copy of Geomaglass, so as you can see, the deck has like incredible scaling because this is the best thing to flip. Typically, it is your best first stride if you have the Counterblast because it pluses the board, which is something that Dimension Police doesn't have a lot of. And it gives you extra attackers, it turns your grade 3s also into interceptors, and it is just the best card to flip. You go into it once, and then you start flipping them with your other stuff. So, very neat. The most recent guy that we got Unibird, and this guy is so amazing. He gives Dimension Police a play that we can go into when we don't have a lot of damage, or we want to conserve CB for some reason, or we want to use it on Laurel. This guy's great. He gains a ton of power, and then he gains crit and extra drive checks. With Dizaurus as well, you can give him even more drive checks. So sometimes when you need to check the most amount of grade 3s in one swing, and you're trying to just like really one-bang the opponent, this is the guy that fulfills that fantasy the best. But he is not my favorite because, of course, the GOAT Excalibur. So I love going into Excalibur. He is the bravest peak cinema. He makes all the montages, you know, him plus Linka plus Laurel, you're swinging for like 200k. It's just so fun, man. Like, this is, to me, this is like the reason to play Dimension. It's like, this is my favorite strike to go into. Super, super deadly. And yeah, you kind of just have to like recognize when you have to go between this one or that one. Like, if the opponent doesn't have a lot of damage but you need to kill them, this one is definitely really good. But sometimes like you don't have the CD, then this one's obviously much better. But yeah, Gallop with that GB3, that for every face-up card in G zone you get 10k. So sometimes, even though you are wanting to take damage, you just want to like you want to G guard into the heal flipper. So then that way you give yourself like 20k more power, which sometimes matter with Gallop. One Dimex, never went into this. I just have a hot stamp guy, and he is okay. Never went into it once. And then for G guards, we have Giragamelgos. This is the go. Realistically, I should be on the third one because he gets you 2 cards back. 25k shield, one of your main soul outlets. He basically is like what keeps the deck like super, super strong and makes the deck even tankier than it already is. And then we have one Atlantis Dolphin as the flipper, one Go 5 as the 25k shield that doesn't use, well, no, you also do use soul, but this is exclusively worse than Giragamelgos, so this is usually what I flip off of Atlantis Dolphin, and then one Zeal as like a way to give myself a little bit extra power, because you can CB, give yourself 5k, so if you got like a stand trigger, you can go Zeal, and then you give yourself the extra 5, so technically you got a defensive, so that's not too shabby. So with that, this has been quite the long deck profile, but to be fair, I'm giving you guys a little bit of an update, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'll also be on King of Knights TCG with my Orphis deck profile, so stay on the lookout for that. Baba Booey.